Travis Kelce had one last surprise for Taylor Swift, and it didn't happen at the wedding. It happened once they were finally alone on their honeymoon. Very few people knew about the plan, and the details now emerging have everyone talking. The night of July 3rd, giant screens outside Madison Square Garden lit up with 4 words that ended months of speculation. The Empire State Building stood in the distance as people photographed a giant screen showing the message, "Just Married," outside Madison Square Garden, where the wedding celebrations of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were held. Inside, the ceremony that had been rumored for weeks was finally real. Taylor's publicist, T-Pain, confirmed the wedding and shared that actor Adam Sandler officiated the ceremony. Instead of having bridesmaids and groomsmen, the singer and the NFL star chose close family members. Travis's brother Jason Kelce served as his best man, while Taylor's brother Austin Swift served as her man of honor. The bride and groom didn't go the traditional designer route either. Taylor and Travis both wore Christian Dior haute couture, while their custom shoes were made by Christian Louboutin. But the second the last dance ended, attention flipped, because everyone in that room, every guest, every reporter camped outside, wanted to know one thing: what happens next? And next meant the honeymoon, the trip nobody was supposed to know about. Here's where it gets interesting. Just 1 week separated the wedding from another commitment on the calendar. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were set to attend New York Giants player Juju Smith-Schuster's wedding to Laura Crook, 1 week after the couple tied the knot in front of 1,000 guests at Madison Square Garden. On paper, that looks like a scheduling headache. In practice, it became the perfect cover for exactly what Travis had been quietly building behind the scenes. TMZ reported flatly that there wouldn't be a quick getaway squeezed in before the California trip. There's a week between Taylor and Travis's wedding and Juju's, but we're told the couple has no plans for a mini honeymoon. Before they head out to California, TMZ reported, read that twice, no plans for a mini honeymoon, not no honeymoon, a mini one. That word is doing a lot of work, and multiple outlets picked up on the same thing, that the timeline being fed to the public might not be the real one. It's always possible that such reports are a decoy to throw off the paparazzi, while the pop star and chief star jet off to a honeymoon, but that's far from clear. When you're the 2 most photographed people on the planet, misdirection isn't paranoia, it's strategy. So while fans assumed the honeymoon was on pause, insiders were telling a very different story. One insider went as far as describing the level of secrecy involved, saying the trip was locked down tighter than the wedding itself. According to that source, speaking to Rob Shooter's Naughty But Nice Substack, Taylor and Travis didn't want anyone knowing where they'd be or when. They told almost no one. Another insider close to the planning added a detail that reframes the entire trip. It's the ultimate bucket list honeymoon. That phrase, bucket list, is the key to understanding what Travis actually did. This wasn't going to be a resort booking made by an assistant. Every detail, every stop, was described as being handpicked. Another insider added that they wanted the trip to belong to just the 2 of them, saying every stop had been chosen for luxury, privacy, and unforgettable experiences. Think about what that means coming from Travis Kelce specifically. This is a guy who, according to his own admission on his podcast, tried to hand Taylor Swift a friendship bracelet with his phone number on it after one of her Eras Tour shows and missed his shot. Kelce admitted on a July 2023 episode of New Heights that he'd tried to meet Swift after one of her shows, saying he was a little butthurt. He didn't get to hand her one of the friendship bracelets he'd made for her. He wanted to give her one with his number on it. That's the origin story. 3 years later, the same guy is reportedly orchestrating a multi-country trip engineered around her preferences down to the smallest detail. The wedding itself gave hints about how Travis operates when he's planning something for her. When Swift announced their engagement, she posted photos from a proposal that happened in a garden. Swift captioned the post, "Your English teacher and your gym teacher are getting married," revealing pictures from the intimate moment surrounded by flowers in a garden that Kelce created. He built a garden from scratch. For one moment, that's not a guy who phones it in when it comes to grand gestures. So when insiders describe the honeymoon as something locked down even tighter than a Madison Square Garden wedding attended by 1,000 people, that's not a small claim. That's Travis Kelce, the man who built a flower garden for a proposal and reportedly helped plan an entire wedding logistics operation, now turning his attention to something built only for the 2 of them, with 0 outside eyes. That secrecy is exactly why the surprise landed the way it did, because nobody, not fans, not family, knew where to look. And that included Kelce's own inner circle. Even people who were standing feet away from Taylor and Travis during the ceremony didn't get a preview of what came after. Kansas City Chiefs head coach Andy Reid, who's known Travis for over a decade, described the wedding itself in almost reverent terms, saying it was spectacular and crediting Taylor for the planning. But even Reed didn't get details on the honeymoon. Nobody outside the couple did. That's the setup. A wedding watched by the entire internet, followed immediately by a trip nobody could track. And somewhere inside that blackout period, Travis Kelce did something that Taylor Swift did not see coming. Something insiders are now calling one of the most deliberate, most personal gestures of their entire relationship. To understand exactly what he pulled off, you have to go back to how this honeymoon actually got planned, who was involved, and why Travis specifically took the reins on a part of the relationship that, by all normal celebrity standards, usually gets outsourced to a travel agent. Most celebrity honeymoons get planned by a team. A concierge service picks the resort. A security detail maps the route, and the couple shows up when it's already built for them. That is not how insiders describe this one working. The reports paint Travis as far more hands-on than that. And when you line up his history with Taylor against what's being said about the trip, a pattern emerges. The man does not delegate the moments that matter most to her. Start with the timeline. Swift and Kelce began dating in the summer of 2023, during the first year of her record-breaking Eras tour, and within months she was attending his games. Most famously, the 2024 Super Bowl. His team went on to win. That relationship was built almost entirely inside two of the most demanding schedules in entertainment and sports. A pop star mid-tour and an NFL tight end mid-season don't get normal dating rhythms. They get stolen weekends, which means every gesture between them has had to be intentional because there was never an abundance of time to waste. That pattern shows up again and again. Kelce traveled internationally during a November NFL bye week to attend Swift's Eras tour stop in Argentina, where she changed a lyric in Karma to reference him, singing "Karma is the guy on the Chiefs, coming straight home to me." He didn't wait for her to come to him. He used one of his only weeks off in the football calendar to fly to another continent. Then, months later, Kelce made his Eras stage debut at one of her London concerts, donning a tuxedo and top hat and carrying Swift in his arms, during a choreographed bit before "I Can Do It with a Broken Heart." That's a football player putting on a costume and rehearsing choreography to walk out in front of tens of thousands of her fans, not something you do half-heartedly. So when the honeymoon planning started, it tracks that Travis wouldn't just hand it off, and the reporting backs that up. Sources describe a trip built entirely around what the couple actually wants, rather than what looks good in a headline. One insider said every stop has been chosen for luxury, privacy, and unforgettable experiences, adding that the schedule is flexible and they're prepared to change plans at a moment's notice if they feel they're attracting too much attention. That flexibility detail matters more than it seems. A trip planned by a travel agency books fixed hotel dates and fixed flights. A trip planned by two people who know exactly how badly they get chased by photographers is designed to be rerouted in real time. That's not the kind of planning you outsource. That's the kind of planning that requires someone in the relationship who understands personally what it feels like to have every move photographed, someone willing to build in escape hatches. And here's where the specifics started leaking, despite the blackout. A source described the shape of the itinerary in detail, naming actual regions rather than vague guesses. They're reportedly set to island hop through the Caribbean and then head to some of Europe's most exclusive retreats, including Italy's Lake Como, the French Riviera, Croatia, and Greece, as part of a 3-week honeymoon spanning multiple continents. 3 weeks, multiple continents. That is not a standard NFL offseason getaway. That is a trip that requires an enormous amount of coordination around Travis's own schedule, his podcast commitments, his brother Jason's involvement in Travis's businesses, and Taylor's own recording and business obligations. For that many moving pieces to line up, someone had to be actively managing the calendar for months. And multiple insiders point directly at Travis being the one pushing for it to happen this way, rather than settling for a shorter, easier trip closer to home. One detail that separates a standard trip from a surprise is when a partner starts making choices based on things the other person has said in passing, small preferences that got remembered. The reporting suggests exactly that kind of attentiveness went into this. The US Sun reported that the couple would spend time in Lake Como, Italy, where actor George Clooney has a home, and in the Bahamas, which is a destination they enjoy. A destination they enjoy is a small phrase, but it tells you this wasn't a generic bucket list Pinterest board. It was built from actual shared history, places they'd already been together, places that meant something specific to them as a couple, not just luxury for luxury's sake. There's also the England connection, which ties directly back to where their relationship first became visible to the wider world in a different context. The Cotswolds is seen as a possible choice because Swift stayed there during her 2024 Eras tour, reportedly renting a countryside home near Chipping Norton, where Travis also visited. If that stop makes the final cut, it means Travis pushed to revisit a place that already carried meaning for the two of them. During the touring chaos of 2024, turning a location tied to her career demands into somewhere they could return to on their own terms, with nothing on the schedule but each other. Now put all of that together, a 3-week multi-continent route, locations chosen for personal history rather than just prestige, a built-in willingness to abandon the plan entirely if paparazzi get too close. That is not the profile of a trip designed by a publicist trying to generate content. That's the profile of a trip designed by someone trying to give one specific person an experience that could never be replicated, spoiled, or predicted by anyone outside the two of them. And that's exactly the environment in which Travis Kelce reportedly pulled off the surprise that's now got insiders talking. Because you can't surprise someone whose entire adult life has been photographed, whose every relationship has been dissected online in real time, whose fans have literal detective networks tracking her private jet, unless you control the conditions completely first. Travis didn't just plan a honeymoon. According to the people close to the couple, he built an entire operation designed for exactly one purpose, making sure that somewhere inside those 3 weeks, Taylor Swift would have no idea what was coming until it was already happening. To understand the surprise itself, you have to understand what surprising Taylor Swift even requires at this stage of her life. This is a woman whose net worth, tour grosses, and daily movements are tracked by fan accounts with the precision of air traffic control. Fans figured out the wedding location before it was ever confirmed. Swifties descended on Watch Hill, Rhode Island, where Swift owns a seaside estate, weeks before the wedding, though tabloid reports of a ceremony there proved unfounded. That's the level of scrutiny Travis was working against. So the first layer of the surprise wasn't a gift or a location, it was information control. And the reporting suggests that started with keeping even the people closest to them out of the loop. According to Rob Shooter's Naughty But Nice, even close family members are unaware of the full itinerary. Not just fans, not just media, family. That detail changes how you should think about this entire trip. When a couple keeps their own parents and siblings in the dark about where they're going, it's not paranoia about leaks to tabloids, it's paranoia about leaks, period. Because any leak becomes a paparazzi swarm within hours. For Travis to convince Taylor's team, his own team, and both families to operate on a need-to-know basis for 3 straight weeks tells you the payoff had to be worth the operational headache. And the reported shape of the itinerary supports that. Multiple sources converge on the same broad strokes, even while disagreeing on the exact order. Island hopping through the Caribbean, and then heading to some of Europe's most exclusive retreats, including Italy's Lake Como, the French Riviera, Croatia, and Greece. That's not a resort, that's a moving target, a different country every few days, which by design makes it nearly impossible for any single paparazzi operation to stay ahead of them. Inside that moving itinerary is where the actual surprise reportedly lives. Because a 3-week trip spanning that many countries gives Travis multiple windows to plant something Taylor doesn't see coming. A stop that isn't on any leaked itinerary. A location chosen specifically because it ties back to something meaningful between them that nobody outside the relationship would recognize as significant. That's consistent with how Travis has operated before. Remember, this is someone who built an entire garden. Flowers, structure, everything, purely for the visual and emotional impact of one single proposal moment. Swift's engagement announcement showed photos from the moment surrounded by flowers in a garden that Kelce created. A man who will construct a garden from nothing for a 5-minute moment is a man who will absolutely build a secret detour into a 3-week trip if it means catching his wife off guard in a good way. There's also the financial signal. Insiders describing this as the ultimate bucket list honeymoon aren't just talking about the destinations, they're talking about the caliber of access being arranged. Every stop was reportedly chosen for luxury, privacy, and unforgettable experiences, which in practice means private villas rather than hotel suites, chartered transport rather than commercial routes, and locked-down properties rather than public beaches. That level of access doesn't happen by accident. Someone had to call in favors, book properties months in advance, and coordinate security teams across multiple countries, all while keeping the paper trail invisible enough that nothing leaked before the wedding even happened. Compare that to how tightly the wedding itself was actually run, despite 1,000 guests. A law enforcement official briefed on security plans told the Associated Press that the wedding would be held Friday, with a smaller rehearsal dinner Thursday night, speaking on condition of anonymity because they weren't authorized to discuss the events publicly. If a wedding with 1,000 attendees and dozens of vendors could stay that contained until days before it happened, a honeymoon involving only 2 people and a tiny support team was always going to be even easier to protect. But only if whoever was steering it treated secrecy as seriously as Travis apparently did. And that secrecy is precisely why, when reports of the honeymoon do trickle out weeks or months later, they read less like scheduled vacation photos and more like a reveal. Guests who attended the wedding are still days later, drip-feeding details about the ceremony itself to outlets like NBC News and Fox News. Small things like the lyric-etched handkerchiefs gifted to guests, or the childhood photos of Taylor and Travis displayed around the venue. If it took that long for wedding details to surface despite 1,000 witnesses, a honeymoon witnessed by nobody was always going to stay hidden until Travis and Taylor decided otherwise, which is exactly the kind of control that makes a surprise land at full strength instead of being spoiled in advance by a leak. That's the mechanism. Total information lockdown. A moving multi-country route that defeats predictable tracking, luxury access secured far enough in advance to avoid paper trails, and a demonstrated personal history of Travis engineering, elaborate one-time gestures purely for emotional impact. Every piece of that infrastructure exists for one reason: to create a window where Taylor Swift, arguably the most tracked woman on the planet, genuinely does not know what is about to happen to her. If the plan was airtight, the execution had to be too. And this is where the story gets genuinely difficult to pull off. Because Travis and Taylor weren't just fighting paparazzi. They were fighting an internet that had already proven, days earlier, it could break through even a wedding sealed by NDAs. Look at what happened almost immediately after the ceremony. Not even an ironclad NDA could protect Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce from wedding photo leaks after they married at Madison Square Garden on July 3, 2026. If a controlled indoor event with security checkpoints and confiscated phones still produced leaked photos within days, then a 3-week trip across multiple open countries was always going to be exponentially harder to keep sealed. That's likely part of why the flexibility built into the itinerary wasn't optional. It was the entire point. Sources said the schedule was flexible, and they were prepared to change plans at a moment's notice if they felt they were attracting too much attention. That's a real-time countermeasure. If a local tip-off, a spotted charter jet, or a single fan sighting threatened to expose a location, the plan wasn't to power through. It was to scrap the stop and move somewhere nobody was expecting. That kind of adaptability requires enormous logistical slack. Backup properties on standby, alternate flight plans already filed, security teams pre-positioned in more than one country at once. There's also a financial dimension that outlets have started connecting to the trip. Before the wedding even happened, Taylor and Travis made a move that, in hindsight, looks like it was designed to control public attention well beyond the ceremony itself. Ahead of the wedding, they donated $26 million to charities, including food banks, children's hospitals, and other organizations across cities meaningful to them, including New York, Nashville, and Kansas City. That gesture did double duty. It answered the "what do you give people who have everything" problem for their guests, and it shifted the story away from excess and toward generosity right before the world's attention turned toward how lavish their post-wedding life would look. The gesture also had the effect of heading off any raised eyebrows over the scale of the festivities, which were expected to draw as many as 1,000 people. That same instinct, control the story before someone else controls it for you, almost certainly extended into the honeymoon. If Travis and Taylor know that any leaked detail about the trip's cost or scale will generate a wave of "how much did this honeymoon cost" headlines, the smartest play is exactly what they reportedly did. Say almost nothing. Let vague reports from tabloids circulate and contradict each other, and let the public exhaust itself guessing rather than confirming. And the public genuinely has been guessing. Different outlets have named completely different destinations with total confidence, which on its own tells you how effective the information blackout has been. One report centers on the Caribbean and the Mediterranean. Another zeroes in specifically on Lake Como and the Bahamas. A third raises the English countryside. When credible outlets can't agree on a continent, it means the actual leak if there was one at all, was so small and so controlled that it never solidified into a confirmed story. That is a communications operation working exactly as designed, and it points squarely at Travis, who has spent years learning firsthand from Taylor's team exactly how modern celebrity information management works, and who has every incentive to apply those lessons to protecting the one part of their life together that he clearly wanted to remain entirely theirs. Security wasn't just about paparazzi either. This is a couple that has previously dealt with real safety threats tied to Taylor's global profile, including a serious plot against one of her European concert stops that ended in a conviction. A suspect in a plot to attack Taylor Swift's Vienna concert was convicted and sentenced to 15 years. When that kind of threat exists in your world, a honeymoon isn't just about privacy from cameras. It's about genuine physical security across multiple countries, coordinated with local law enforcement in each location, without tipping off the very people the security is meant to keep out. That's an enormous logistical lift, and it's one more reason the entire trip needed a single, deeply invested person steering it from the inside. Someone who wasn't just booking flights, but personally vetting every stop for both privacy and safety before Taylor ever set foot there. All of that, the flexible routing, the pre-wedding donation that softened scrutiny, the contradictory tabloid reports, the security coordination running quietly in the background, created the exact conditions needed for a surprise to survive contact with reality. Not a surprise that gets spoiled by a single leaked photo 3 hours in. A surprise engineered to hold up across 3 weeks, multiple countries, and the most relentless fan and media apparatus in modern entertainment. And it held, despite everyone from tabloids to fan accounts trying to map the route in real time. The specific moment, whatever Travis actually did, wherever he did it, stayed inside the two of them for exactly as long as they wanted it to. By the time the wedding noise started to settle, a different kind of story began circulating. Not about the ceremony anymore, but about what it revealed regarding how Travis operates when nobody's supposed to be watching. Wedding guests who'd stayed largely quiet in the days immediately after the event started opening up, and their accounts kept circling back to the same theme: intention. Swift's Aunt Robin told LBC News that they cried, and they laughed, and they danced, and they hugged, and they kissed. Even Donna Kelce, who's watched her son build his entire public relationship in front of millions of cameras, kept her comments short but glowing, saying she couldn't say much except that it was magical. Andy Reid's account carried a specific detail worth returning to, because it reframes who actually does the planning in this relationship. Reid, who's coached Travis for over a decade and knows him better than almost anyone outside his family, made a point of saying the planning wasn't coming from the groom. He noted that it's normally not the groom doing the planning, and gave Taylor credit for orchestrating a beautiful, well-planned event. That's an interesting detail to sit with, because it suggests Travis's role wasn't running the day-to-day logistics of the wedding itself. Taylor owned that, which makes the honeymoon a different story entirely. If the wedding was her production, multiple insiders described the honeymoon as something Travis pushed for, shaped, and protected on his own terms. His one chance, after months of being a guest in his own wedding planning, to build something that was entirely his, that reframes everything that's leaked since. The 3-week multi-continent route, the insistence on keeping even family in the dark, the willingness to scrap plans at the first sign of exposure. Those aren't just security measures. They're the fingerprints of someone who spent months on the sidelines of one massive event and used the next one to finally take the wheel. There's also a quieter piece of this worth noting, tied to something Adam Sandler reportedly told the couple during the ceremony. Andy Reid relayed it afterward. Sandler's advice was simple, telling them to kiss each other every chance they get, before bed, before work, and if there's ever a small argument, to finish it with a kiss and work it out. It's the kind of advice that sounds almost too simple for two of the most famous people alive, but it fits the pattern. Nothing about how this couple has operated, from the friendship bracelet Travis never got to hand over, to the garden he built for the proposal, to the honeymoon insiders now call a bucket list trip, chosen stop by stop for meaning rather than spectacle, suggests either of them is interested in doing things the easy, generic way. As for what's next, the public record is intentionally thin, and it's likely to stay that way for a while. One insider suggested the public will eventually see wedding footage on Taylor's own terms, saying, "I'd be shocked if the public never sees it, but it'll happen on Taylor's timeline, after she's edited it and is ready." If that's the approach for footage of an event 1,000 people already witnessed, the honeymoon, something built from the start to belong to only two people, is even less likely to surface in full detail anytime soon. Fragments will leak, a photo here, a location tip there, but the full picture, including whatever Travis actually did to surprise her, may stay exactly where he wanted it. Between the two of them, what's already clear, though, is the shape of the story. A man who once missed his chance to hand a pop star a bracelet spent the years since building increasingly elaborate ways to make sure he never missed a moment again. From a stage debut in London, to a hand-built garden, to, according to everyone with a window into it, a honeymoon designed stop by stop around what she actually loves rather than what looks good online. Somewhere inside those 3 weeks, away from every camera that has tracked this couple since 2023, Travis Kelce got the one thing he's rarely had in this entire relationship: the chance to surprise her first. Sources: E! News, why Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce aren't headed on their honeymoon just yet. Gallery magazine, where Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce should spend their honeymoon. JTA, Adam Sandler officiates Taylor Swift-Travis Kelce wedding. Yahoo Entertainment, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce honeymoon plans. She knows. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce told almost no one about honeymoon. Geo News, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's honeymoon plans revealed. Stylecaster, Taylor Swift's wedding photos with Travis Kelce leak. NBC, New York, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce gift wedding guests keepsake. Fox News, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding leak snowball. Hollywood Reporter, what do you buy Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce? PBS NewsHour, what we know about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding. NPR, after weeks of speculation, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce wed in New York. Stylecaster, the real reason Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's honeymoon is on hold. Yahoo Entertainment, Taylor Swift honeymoon details finally leak. Stylecaster, Taylor Swift honeymoon details finally leak, 5 regions. Yahoo Entertainment, new details emerge about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's